Well, welcome to another super helpful video from the Goat Shed, located here in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. Okay, today I'm at a mate's house who has a Gottlieb Big Shot. So there's a 2-player game Big Shot and the 4-player game Hot Shot. Now, he bought this game off a chap that we know who was going to get it done up, but he decided against it. So this guy actually purchased it off him. We first started looking at this a few years ago, then put it aside for different reasons and got it out again. And one thing we noticed this game was that when we reassembled it was counting bonuses short. So in other words, if these have got 7 drop targets on each side, giving you a total of 14 drop targets, plus an 8 ball. Now, the bonus unit does a lot of work on this game, an awful lot of work. Here it is here. It's got 2 cam notches, 180 degrees opposite at each other, and a switch down the bottom there. And the idea is that as you drop targets down, you will score. You will light the light corresponding to the pool ball. When the ball drains, you'll get 1,000 points per lit target. Now, on this game, we could have 7 targets down, and we may only get, I think it was about 3,000 or 4,000. So, what did we do? We had a bit of a look around at all the obvious things. The bonus unit had been rebuilt. All the rivets were perfectly clean. The snowshoe pins were all lined up. And we had a no-go. Now, it turns out that this particular circuit is reasonably complicated. Now we're going to illustrate some of that here on the schematic. Now this is somewhat complicated, but what actually happens, there's a J relay in the circuit which is located just here. And this J relay is on the 6-volt circuit, it's on the lamp circuit. So for every drop target that's down, the J relay, the bonus unit advances. When it finds a light that's on, it essentially pulls in the I relay, which is the bonus score relay, and keeps looking till it gets to the end. So if there was only one target down when the ball drained, it'd just go click, 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 click through to the end of the cycle. Now this is being fairly simplistic because, like I said, this is quite complicated, and I just want to try and explain to people what happened. Now, ours simply wasn't doing that. So what we then found was that there's a switch in the circuit on MotorStack 3C. Now this switch 3C stays closed till almost right to the end of the cam cycle, and it's like the hold-on switch for the I relay. Now when we first looked at this I relay was extremely erratic in its movement. It'd really act strangely. You can normally watch a relay and say, oh, that relay is working well. So a little bit of further investigation, we cleaned and re-gapped that 3C, and one thing we noticed about it was that it actually had been repaired before. So there was some solder marks on the back of each side of the switch. Now this is 3C here. I've got my screwdriver in there now, so it's the inside switch closest to the switch dog carrier. So we re-gapped that and thought that would fix our problem, because when we actually shorted it out with a jumper earlier on, it seemed to work. Hallelujah. But once we put it all back together, it still failed to operate correctly. So, where to next? So it was to the add bonus unit coil itself. We watched that and it also seemed to operate a little bit erratically. Now when we had a look, here's the switch on the I relay, and it goes through that J relay over here. Whoops, where are we? Add bonus unit. Whoops, I'm lost. Where are we? Goodness me. You're trying to make a video and there it is. There's the J relay there. Right there. Through the C relay, and then down through motor 1A. Now, there's an orange and blue wire that goes between 1A and 1B. Orange and blue. So, we had a look at that, and what we actually discovered was that switch 1A only had the red-white wire on one lug. The orange-blue had been soldered back to 1B. Now, how on earth this machine ever worked has sort of got us a bit confused, because that 1A is also part of the reset circuit, but the machine was resetting perfectly, which is very, very, very strange. Anyway, all that said and done, when we fixed that up, the problem went away and it now works as it should. Let me show you. Right, so further testing on this problem on Big Shot with the bonus scoring erratically, we were still having a few problems, and we brought it down to the hold-on switch on motor stack 3C, this switch here again. I mentioned previously had been repaired. That's the inside switch. So both contact points had been soldered on the other side. They must have been loose. We were still getting missing scores, so we had a really close look at those. We pulled the stack apart and we found that one of the solder joints was done very poorly and it still wasn't making perfect contact. So we've resoldered that and away we go. Now, you might ask, why don't we replace the switch? Well, the simple answer is, where we are, we don't have one, but we may get one from the goat shed and replace, but I think it'll be pretty reliable now. So now we'll illustrate to you how it should work properly. So now we've knocked 7 targets down on one side. We've got 9,000 up there at the moment, so we'll drop the ball in the out hole and that should go to 16,000. So let's do that. Beautiful. So all in all, that was a particularly interesting problem. Now, it's to do with timing of the relay, the bonus score relay, and the hold-on switch for that on 3C, and score motor 1A. Now, I probably didn't explain it all that well when we were looking at the schematic, and I lost the J relay there momentarily, but my colleague had a look at pin side, and a chap on there that goes by the name of Bald Twit, I believe his real name's Phil, he's written up a very good explanation of this particular problem and how to go about sorting it out. Now, of course, his explanation is no way could describe the fact that we had a bad switch on motor 3C. You know, that's just something you've got to look for. But his explanation is written well, and I do suggest anyone that has any problems like that, go and look in the tech forum in EM Pinball, just do a search for Bald Twit, and then you'll see his article on Big Shot. Now, we're confident now that this machine will run quite well. So, without having to test it further, we've got a lot more work to do on this game because we have had it for some time. It's had a little bit of a coveted life, I suppose. It was a bit rusty inside and it was cleaned up at some stage of the game. But it's just had all new drop targets fitted, and it's having the cabinet will eventually get painted. So it's not a full restoration, but it's a good shop out that it's having. So we hope you learnt something and got something from this video, because we felt that it was worth recording. And this apparently is a fairly common problem with this game. So there you go. So thanks for watching, and this has been another Goatshed presentation.